a message of peace to the world. Unfortunately, what happened in New Zealand is a very normal harvest of what some presidents, politicians and media have used to plant over the years. No one should accept using terms like Christian terrorism and also Islamic terrorism. Linking terrorism to any religion is terrorism itself. When the attacker is Muslim, many presidents, politicians and media say Islamic terrorism. The term Islamic terrorism means Islam has terrorism. Islam is a faith observed by over 1.6 billion people, has terrorism. Imagine that. Muslim leaders and scholars around the world have repeatedly condemned terrorism. But you say Islam has terrorism by promoting the term Islamic terrorism or linking attacks to Islam. This discourse and rhetoric should be changed immediately. Presidents, politicians and media should be more responsible and stop using the term Islamic terrorism or linking terrorism to Islam. Muslims never use the term Christian terrorism. The Australian-born terrorist has published a manifesto citing the President Donald Trump as a symbol of renewed white identity and common purpose. Some presidents, politicians and media are Islamophobic bigots. And as presidents, their words matter. They use these terms to spread hatred. In some cases, presidents, politicians and some media pundits explicitly link terrorism to Islam. Most of Western news media indirectly advance the group's interests by repeatedly linking Muslim communities to terrorism. These terms and linking have presumably been inspired by immoral and evil people to target the people that President Donald Trump used to target in his speeches. Islam is a faith of peace, and all Muslims believe that Christianity is a faith of peace as well. But the fact and truth that everyone should know, terrorism is terrorism, regardless of the faith of terrorists. So why are you insisting on using terms like Islamic terrorism or linking terrorism to Islam precisely? I'm not here to defend Islam, but let me quickly tell you this fact and I'll go back to the main point. If you open the Quran, go to chapter 5, verse 32, you will find this, that whoever kills a soul, unless for a soul or for corruption done in the land, it is as if he had slain mankind entirely. And whoever saves one soul, it is as if he had saved mankind entirely. Imagine. Imagine. In Islam, if you kill a soul, it is exactly as you had killed mankind entirely. And if you save a soul, it is exactly as you had saved mankind entirely. The verse didn't say if you kill or save a Muslim. No. No. It says a soul. Any soul. Regardless of its faith. Any soul. I'm sure that billions of people don't know this fact that's mentioned in many verses in Quran, the holy book of Islam. Presidents, politicians and media have adopted the term Islamic terrorism, including President Donald Trump himself, who continues to blur the fact by using rhetoric like radical Islamic terrorism. In 2011 and 2012, President Donald Trump insinuated that President Barack Obama was secretly Muslim. President Donald Trump said, "We will never stop in our fight against radical Islamic terrorism." President Donald Trump said, "Don't focus on me. By the way, we have to focus on you. We have to focus on you. We have to focus on what you say and what you tweet. Because as a president, your words matter. Your words matter." He said, "Don't focus on me. Focus on destructive radical Islamic terrorism." Then the most terrible Trump statement on the 7th of December 2015. He called to ban all Muslims from entering the United States. Imagine if any Muslim country calls to ban Christians from entering its land. On the 9th of March 2016, President Donald Trump falsely claimed, "Islam hates us. Islam hates us." And no one told him, "No, Mr. President, no, this is racism. You can't say Islam hates us, as we will not accept if other people will say Christianity hates us. This is hatred and racism." No one told him that. No one told him that. As the list of Trump's anti-Muslim bigotry goes on, and still inspiring unruly and evil people like the tourists of New Zealand. President Donald Trump never said that what happened in New Zealand is a terrorist attack or a tragic terrorist attack as he described attacks in the United Kingdom and Egypt. He never said. Never. He described New Zealand terror attacks as a terrible thing. But if the attackers were Muslims, then he would clearly repeat words like terrorist, terrorism, and radical Islamic terrorism for many, many times. He is very keen to keep on that linking. He is very keen to keep on that linking. He just wants to say, if non-Muslim kills Muslims, it is a terrible thing. But if a Muslim kills non-Muslims, it is terrorism. It is terrorism. He is very keen to keep on that linking. Very keen. Very keen. Let's see where President Donald Trump has used the phrase a terrible thing. He said Cohen's fake hearing is a terrible thing. He said the prospect of another government shutdown is a terrible thing. And he said what happened in New Zealand is a terrible thing. The concepts Islamic terrorism and Muslim terrorism are misnomers and inspire unwell and evil people to target innocent people from both sides, anytime and anywhere. If you keep on adopting the term Islamic terrorism, and if the other side adopts the term Christian terrorism, what will be the next step then? Just imagine. Imagine. People questioned why other terrorists were described as such, but why the Australian terrorist was referred to as a far-right muscular. Many thanks to the brave Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, who described the massacre as a terrorist attack and one of the New Zealand's darkest days. The brave Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said this can only be described as a terrorist attack. The Prime Minister Theresa May was also brave when she described both the attack on a mosque in London and the Westminster attack as terrorist attacks. But we don't know why she didn't describe the New Zealand attack as a terror attack, like the New Zealand and Australian Prime Ministers described it. So, President Donald Trump, other politicians, some media, I invite you to be brave like Jacinda Ardern and everyone who described the massacres as terrorist attacks. Be brave and say the truth. The attack in New Zealand is an attack on religious freedom and an attack on that hallowed principles that worship the God of your choice should not make you a target of violence. But if we want to stop such massacres, we have to stop electing or supporting hateful bigots and hateful rhetoric. Finally, very special thanks from the bottom of our hearts to the people of New Zealand. You are amazing, civilized people and community. A great country with a great people. A great community who rejects the seeds of hatred and intolerance that have been planted by some presidents, politicians and media. We all are proud of you. Proud of your unity, strength, resilience, wisdom and humanity. God bless you all. And many thanks to the New Zealand Parliament, government, politicians and media. I would like to thank all countries, leaders, politicians, people, and media that have expressed their true condolences and described what happened in New Zealand as a terrorist attack. Special thanks to all TV channels and newspapers that have fairly and professionally covered the news and described the massacre as a terrorist attack. My special thanks should be delivered especially to the brave CNN for its professional, brave and fair coverage. Thank you to the Daily Telegraph for Saturday's title, The First Social Media Terror Attack. Thank you to the Daily Mail that mentioned this title, The Mosque Terror Attack. Thank you to the newspapers that criticize politicians whose language and actions feed a culture of intolerance and resentment. We all know that many presidents and politicians hate brave people, brave politicians, brave TV channels, brave newspapers, and brave journalists. But don't worry, in the end, bravery will win. Dear peoples, terrorism is faithless. Terrorism is faithless. We all should stand together to prevent terrorists from targeting any sacred place of worship or civilians. Dear peoples, the world is facing international terrorism and requires international efforts to defeat it. Each government should centralize and unify its nation, and all countries must unify against any kind of terrorism and hatred to live in peace. Insisting on using the term Islamic terrorism or linking terrorism to Islam, or not describing attacks that kill civilians as terrorist attacks, or enhance international terrorism in the world that we live in. We have no choice but to unify to defeat international terrorism. The only way to fight terrorism is to stand together. Terror cannot be allowed to divide us. We must stand strong together. Our deep condolences go out to the families and victims of the barbaric terrorist attack in New Zealand. Thank you. Peace be upon you, and God bless you all.